Hello, I'm Rich Suval, Worship Associate this morning. Welcome to First Parish in Bedford, a Unitarian Universalist congregation where we come together every week as a people with diverse beliefs and a shared commitment to bring more peace, more love, more justice, and more joy into the world. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whether you worship one God, many gods, or no God, you're welcome here. I want to say a special welcome to all of our visitors this morning in person and on Zoom. Here in the sanctuary, you are invited to fill out a blue connection card in which you'll find at the end of the pews. You can give that to one of the ushers during the collection, and we will add you to our mailing list. In Zoom, we will put a link in the chat to a form you can fill out as well for your virtual Blue Connection card. After the service, everyone is welcome to join us for coffee, tea, and fellowship in the common room. I have some announcements. Next Sunday, there will be no May Bedford Lyceum. Lyceums will resume on the regular schedule in June. The lay pastoral care team has the card table set up in the common room today. Please stop by during coffee hour to sign some cards for parishioners who will appreciate being remembered with a supportive message or a cheery greeting. All are welcome to a session of the Death Matters series, focusing on options for body disposition after death, today at 11:30 in the Bacon Room. And also later today, there's a concert presented by the Music Committee. The concert features our own pianist, Steve Sussman, and will take place here at First Parish at 3 p.m. More details on the flyer found in your order of service.
Our chalice lighting words this morning come from Tracy Johnson. We kindle our chalice this morning, awakening the fire of our ancestors in our hearts. Beacon of freedom, held out to light the way. Light of reason, illuminating the path. Spark of courage, igniting our spirits. Aglow with hope for the endeavors to do together. Holy flame of times past, brighten this present moment, that we may be the love that is our center and our foundation. Blessed be. And our opening words come from a small book called Guerrillas of Grace by Ted Loder. Gentle me, Holy One, into an unclenched moment. A deep breath. A letting go of heavy expectancies, of shriveling anxieties, of dead certainties, that softened by the silence, surrounded by the light and open to the mystery, I may be found by wholeness, upheld by the unfathomable, entranced by the simple, and filled with the joy that is you. And I hope you will now join in body and spirit in singing our opening hymn, number 128, also up on the screen, For All That Is Our Life.
Sing against the
body or spirit to join in our unison affirmation that we say each Sunday, printed in your order of worship or on our screen. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ley. Este es nuestro gran pacto, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad en espíritu de amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
Can we get the slides? Okay, so I'm here just to give a quick progress update on both fundraisers, which have officially concluded as of this weekend. So I just want to remind you all, hopefully everyone knows about our capital campaign, which has been underway in planning and now in practice for 2 years, as well as the annual stewardship drive. So I just want to give you a very quick timeline update of where we've been, where we are, and where we're going this morning. So next slide. So just as a reminder, the capital campaign, which is called It's Our Turn, this started 2 years ago. We started in 2024-25. We had a task force of various folks whose names are listed there, who were basically charged with determining what were the most important, most critical physical infrastructure needs for this church, as well as the parsonage. And so we came up in that first year after a bunch of meetings, a bunch of surveys, a bunch of emails and this and the other. We came up with a first cut at a prioritized list of major infrastructure items that we really needed to go after, as well as the price tag. And it was pretty clear that it was going to be pretty expensive. So that's what we learned in year number 1. So next slide. Year number 2, this is this past year, a new crew of folks, some continuing on from the previous year, some new folks. We formed a committee. When in doubt, you form a committee. And a lot of people worked very hard on this, including folks who were not part of the committee. I want to give a special shout out to our treasurer, Wendy Innes, our web designer, Heather Black, and many, many other people really put this all together. We really tried as best as we possibly could to solicit participation from the entire congregation. So you all filled out surveys. You came to numerous Zoom calls. We bombarded you with announcements from here and whatnot. But we heard. We heard what you all had to say. We also realized there were limits to what we could do. And so we reached out, we hired consultants. I think a number of you have met Sarah Green, who was our financial consultant, was really our guide through this entire capital campaign process. We also reached out and hired an energy consultancy firm because it's technically quite tricky, as well as an architectural firm. So that's basically this year. So then next slide. Here we are now today at the end of April, the final weekend in April. Both campaigns have now officially closed. So we launched them in March, and then they've been running for the past 6 weeks, and they've officially closed. So the good news, there is very good news to report here at the end of April. The good news is that for annual stewardship, 93% of the 560K goal has been achieved. That's very encouraging. So round of applause for that. And as you see from the sort of teal cyan pie chart on the right side, 73% or so of the community has participated. So that's also an encouraging statistic. We will be reaching out for the rest of you. So that's on the annual stewardship side. So again, the trend is very good there. The public phase has finished, but it will go on. So the capital campaign, in many ways, has been a spectacular success as of this weekend. Our goal, our financial goal, was 1.5 million. That's a lot of money, and we're asking for it at the same time, not to be paid back at the same time, but we were asking for it at the same time as annual stewardship. We knew going in this was a big ask, and we are so, so grateful that we received over 1.6 million for keeping this place going. So that's very, 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 very exciting. I will say, however, as you can see from the pie chart, our other major goal for both campaigns, but as you see, the capital campaign has struggled more, was to have participation from the whole community. Now, we fully understood going into this that obviously there are different levels of giving that are possible, and some people it's just not possible. We totally get that. But we really would like to try to get the level of participation, particularly for the capital campaign, up, frankly, much higher. So we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch. I do want to say, though, that we're already basically transitioning beyond just the fundraising part of this campaign. We are, now that we have money, we're going to start using it, and the timbers of this place will hopefully, say thank you. So the organ is scheduled for a major. The organ is scheduled for a major overhaul this summer, right? And we've been talking with our energy consultancy group, so that we'll have heat next winter in the rear addition. So, and these projects, along with obviously many others, a new group beyond the current committee will form a new committee, will be charged with basically overseeing those projects and actually getting them underway. But already 2 of them are underway at this time. So with that, next slide. We want to say thank you with great gratitude from both teams, both the annual stewardship team as well as the capital campaign team. We want to say thank you. And as a small token of our appreciation, today at coffee hour, we're going to be serving ice cream cakes from Bedford Farms that are labeled with our themes, right? Community, legacy, sustainability, and inclusion. And final slide, we are, after all, in a house of worship. So you see here, this is what ChatGPT did. This is not the way the cakes actually look. But you see basically what the flavors are, and this is about as close as you're ever going to get to heaven on earth. So come join us at coffee hour. Come join us at coffee hour. And of course, the devil's there too, because this is obviously meant to be a temptation. So thank you.
Good morning. Taking a breath. I brought something with me today, a balloon. If you have one, hold it up with me. Flap it around. Woo-hoo. There we go. I like to create visuals of what's going on inside my head because, as you know, you can't actually see your thoughts. And I imagine most thoughts begin sort of like this. Small, flimsy, not very convincing. But then something happens. They expand. And sometimes that's when feelings of worry and intrusive thoughts start to grow. Right? What if I mess up? You can join me. What do they think of me? What if I'm not good enough? What will they think of my time for all ages? I need to be this. I don't have this yet. And finally, what if it all falls apart? Now hold it. What about your own thoughts and feelings? Can you add any of yours to the balloon itself? The ones that show up uninvited, the ones that feel overwhelming, add them. Go ahead. Let's try it. Right? So here's the strange part. None of these thoughts actually weigh anything, right? And yet we carry them like they do, exhausting ourselves. And after a while, they're not something that we're really holding on to anymore. They become something that clings to us. So what happens? You guys ready? What happens if we stop gripping so tightly and just let it go? Any others? Nope. Okay, I think that's it. Look at it. They're not entirely gone, right? I see some here and there on the floor. But they're not in your hands anymore, are they? We can't stop every thought that shows up. We can't eliminate every worry or fear. But we do have something else. We have the freedom to choose what we hold on to and the freedom to let go of what no longer needs to be carried. And I'll be back to clean up, I promise. Okay, now let us sing our children to class.
Good morning. My name is Marge Heckman, and I'm a member of the lay pastoral team here at First Parish. At this time in the service, we invite anyone who is in the sanctuary to come forward to light a candle of joy or concern. Please try and keep your comments brief as possible, and tell us your name, and make sure you hold the microphone close to your mouth. And then we'll check in on Zoom, and I will be at the candle stand after the service if anyone would like to light a candle in private. And we don't have anyone on Zoom this morning, so I will light one final candle for all those joys and concerns that we keep in our heart. And I will be at the candle stand after the service if you'd like to light a candle in private.
Once a month, we share half of the offering we collect on a Sunday morning with an organization that fits our values and has some connection to our congregation or our community. This morning's offering will be shared with the Boston Immigration Justice Accompaniment Network, and Reverend Annie, Cecil Mercado, and Sabrina McLean will tell you a bit more about it.
So many of you know that I've been involved with Bijan or Beyond, you can call it either way, since it began in late 2017. And I want to share very briefly about what I've been involved in most recently in the network, besides being on the leadership team. About a year ago, I started an outreach team putting together volunteers who mostly speak English and Spanish or English and Portuguese to reach out to people in our network who are either the family and friends of people in immigration jail or are people we're supporting with like ICE check-ins, but who are themselves not detained. And folks are reaching out for, offering support and resources or finding out more about their situations. A couple recent examples, we were accompanying someone to ICE check-ins and she had one coming up and a volunteer was set to accompany her, but the volunteer learned that she was actually hospitalized with a complication to her pregnancy and alerted someone. So I had her outreach volunteer reach out and find out more and get some pictures of medical documents to send to ICE to try to hopefully convince them that she was not, disobeying protocols by not showing up when she was hospitalized. Another example is that some folks in New Hampshire recently started a fund to support people impacted by immigration enforcement and immigration jail. And so we sent outreach volunteers to reach out to people in our database who we know are from New Hampshire, whose loved ones have been detained or deported, to let them know about this opportunity and make sure they could apply for support if they needed it. So these are just tiny examples of the many ways our outreach volunteers are working to help reduce some of the harm of all that's happening these days.
When I started volunteering with the Immigration Justice Committee, yes, I lost the word for a second there. When I started volunteering with the Immigration Justice Committee, one easy way I was able to help was by writing letters from right at my own home once every 2 weeks to my assigned pen pal, somebody who was being kept in ICE detention. I would describe my day and try to describe what the weather was like, which I know sounds like and like what it was like outside the walls that they were being kept in. Usually they did not respond, but currently my pen pal, to my surprise, has been writing back to me, and he says that he is that I offer him again and again to help as however he can, and he says that he is helped immensely by hearing from me. And I also showed up at his hearing, and though that was not a fun experience for me, he also said that it helps him to have me there.
Hi, good morning. Sabrina and I are members of the IJC, and IJC fully supports Bijan. So really, Sabrina is volunteers through Bijan. And as you can surmise, we're trying to tell you about Bijan by telling you what we do as volunteers, because beyond donating money, we'll ask you to join us to volunteer. So the Beyond Bond and Legal Defense Fund that Bijan volunteers manage raises money for immigration bonds to free people in ICE prisons in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, or those detained elsewhere but who are from Massachusetts or returning to Massachusetts. As a volunteer, I became a bond sponsor. I filled up paperwork on behalf of Bijan to help release a detainee. Once they are processed and released at the Burlington ICE facility, some of them need rides to get home. I'm a volunteer driver, and some people I pick up are just quiet and overwhelmed with what just happened to them, some being detained for several months. Others are ecstatic to be out and just want to talk to their family, a big smile on his face. I also help with giving donations to detained people's commissary funds. We deposit $20 to around 500 people per month. A message from someone said that $20 feels like $1 million in prison. They use it to buy additional food, personal care items, or warmer clothing. Lastly, I accompany people who check in Burlington. Many are very afraid that they will get detained, so having someone with them lets them know that there are many people who see them and care about what happens to them and their families. Check-in is usually over in less than an hour. One time it was so fast, it was out in 10 minutes. The volunteer driver and I were still waiting for our coffee at Pressed Cafe. I went back to the ICE facility to get him, and the three of us had coffee together. He was so grateful that he offered to donate money. He also taught me how to use the live translation of Google Translate, since I noticed he was using it to chat with us, and I wanted to do that when we have families we host at our church. We will have a table during community hour if you have any questions and if you want to join Bijan. Like I said, we volunteer. Luana Reed is actually a coordinator of volunteers, so race. And also Bijan, Luce, UU Mass Action, and the Immigration Justice Committee signed on to support the People's Protect Act platform, which we invite you to call your state senator to advocate to make the Protect Act stronger, and we will have that information as well. And very last thing, immigrants are also mobilized, immigrant justice communities are mobilizing for May Day. No work, no school, no shopping. So I invited the public witness team to join our table, and you can ask them about that as well. Thank you.
For the good work of this church and the hope we carry forward, the ushers will now take the offering.
I had the fortunate opportunity during this April vacation week, where my daughter was out of school, to visit some family in Florida, stay with my aunt, see my parents, my brother, some uncles, some cousins. And on the way back, I was on the plane, and I decided to watch Zootopia 2. Now, I have not seen Zootopia 1, And you might be thinking, then why were you watching Zootopia 2? And no, it was not because my kid was watching it. She fell asleep. But actually, it's just because some comedians from a podcast I like were all voice actors in it, and I thought it would be cute to see the movie they kept referencing. Two of them have very short parts, but one of them is a fairly central character. But I was surprised, actually, by how relevant the plot was. I don't know if any of y'all have seen Zootopia 2, and I don't want to spoil it too much in case you want to, but it focuses around the idea that the rich, powerful people might be like lying in order to control things and kick people out of their homes and tell everyone that they're bad criminals so they can send them away. I don't know, it seemed a little relevant to me, and I thought that was kind of cool. But something else that I found surprisingly relevant in Zootopia 2 was the character arc of one of the main characters, a bunny who was also a cop. Now, I'm not usually a big fan of cops, as many of you know, or rather of just the whole idea of policing. But this bunny is a very good-hearted bunny, and she wants to help people. But she's very focused on proving herself, proving that she's worthy, proving she's a good cop, proving that she and her partner, the sly fox, can work together. But at one point in the movie, she sort of shifts away from like, how can we prove ourselves to how can we show people the truth? How can we make a positive difference in our society? And I think that is a powerful change that a lot of us go through some version of, maybe many iterative versions of, throughout our life. And in fact, I discovered that there are quite a few sort of pop psychology and social commentary pieces out there on the internet and in the world about some of the biological factors that might go into a shift away from caring a lot about what other people think and proving ourselves towards our own values and other things we want to prioritize. And there were two groups that got focus in these pieces. One was older adults generally. This was defined as people 60 and older. And, you know, some people said, well, it's life experience. The longer you've lived, the more wise you get, and the more you realize what really matters, which makes sense. But another article suggested that actually there's a brain chemistry change, or I don't know if it's chemistry, neurological change that might influence this trend. And I found out about it in a piece that seemed only medium reputable from a website called Silicon Canals, which apparently reports European tech news. But I thought it was intriguing enough to read you some of it. Everyone knows someone over 60 who says exactly what they think, doesn't soften it, and seems completely unbothered. The usual explanation is they've earned the right or they've stopped caring. The more dismissive version is that they're becoming difficult, rude, blunt, set in their ways. But neuroscience tells a very different story. The reason older adults care less about social disapproval isn't personality decline or loss of social grace. It's a measurable shift in how their brains process threat, specifically the kind of threat that comes from other people's negative reactions. So I looked into the study that was referenced, and it is a real study, but I don't know that it actually says anything about threat detection. What it seems to say, though I am not scientifically equipped to fully interpret studies, is that in a study on amygdala activation, where they used imaging to see the amygdala's response, amygdala activation in younger adults was stronger on negative stimuli, and in older adults it was less strong on negative stimuli, but for both groups they reacted to positive stimuli. So that suggests that it's not an overall amygdala decline because the older adults still reacted on the positive, but that it's a decreased reaction to negative things. Now, I'm not sure that exactly means that when you turn 60, you magically don't care what other people think. Y'all can tell me if y'all have experienced that, but it's an intriguing thought. Another group, though, where pop culture has a sciencey explanation for a shift in priorities that is more relevant to me as a 40-year-old cis woman, a cis woman, is about menopause. And a lot of these articles talk about how women no longer give a care, except they don't say a care. You can probably fill it in your brain. Such as women lose our give a care hormone as we age, or the science behind why you suddenly give zero cares. These pieces are written with a you go girl flourish as they explore the idea that higher levels of estrogen increase people-pleasing tendencies. Or as this article on Oprah's site says, as estrogen declines, so does its moderating effect on emotional responses and social bonding behaviors. You're not becoming hormonal in the dismissive sense. You're becoming less chemically compelled to prioritize others' comfort over your truth. The note about not becoming hormonal in a dismissive sense is important, given another article I found called, Is Menopause Making Women Go Crazy and Leave Their Partners? Fortunately, the conclusion in this piece is that no, menopause is not making women go crazy, but sometimes it does give some people who've been suffering in an unsatisfying or unhealthy marriage a final push they need to leave. But while the amygdala theory is fascinating, and hormones certainly are important and impactful in our lives, I think that the life experience aspect is a little more relevant. After all, if caring about what matters and not caring about what other people think is just a biological process, there's not much of a sermon here. Just wait for your amygdala or your hormones, depending on who you are and how old you are, to catch up, and you'll get there. But I think it is true that many of us are shaped strongly by the expectations of those around us and by the expectations of our society at large. And despite how far we've come on sexism and stereotypes, at least in some milieus, I know we're backsliding in a lot of ways, expectations do remain deeply gendered. They depend on other social factors too, of course, many that you can think about: class, race, ability, all of these things. But often, if we are socialized as male, we're taught to be a strong winner, competent, get ahead, show no weakness, impress or intimidate those around you. And if we're socialized as female, we're taught to please others, make others comfortable and happy with us, to be good, not take up too much space or cause problems. Which brings me to another Disney movie, and a song that many of us have probably had stuck in our heads 24/7 at some point, depending on when the kids in our lives went through their Elsa and Anna phase. Yes, I'm talking about Frozen, and the 3-year-old who lives in my household is having her Frozen phase right now. The interesting thing about that, though, is that this 3-year-old is being raised primarily in Spanish by her Bolivian father and her mother, who also speaks some Spanish. And so instead of let it go, I'm hearing libre soy, no puedo ocultarlo más. Libre soy, libertad sin vuelta atrás. And if you speak Spanish, you might know that libre soy does not mean let it go, not literally at all. It means I am free, or rather free I am, libre soy. And I thought that was an interesting translation, that to let it go is to be free. And in this case, I think that's true because the it that is being let go is the impossible expectation of never having any strong feelings around other people so that nobody sees you for who you truly are. Which, while for most of us is not because we are secretly a magical ice princess who might turn everything into snow, might still be something we all feel at different points in our lives. It made me think about this reading from Adrienne Marie Brown, who I quote often, about the connection between pleasure and freedom. She writes, pleasure, embodied, connected pleasure, is one of the ways we know we are free, that we are always free, that we have the power to co-create the world. Pleasure helps us move through the times that are unfair, through grief and loneliness, through the terror of genocide, or days when the demands are just overwhelming. Pleasure heals the places where our hearts and spirits get wounded, reminds us that even in the dark we are alive. Pleasure is a medicine for the suffering that is absolutely promised in life. Feeling good is not frivolous, it is freedom. And there is so much lack of freedom in our world and in our country right now. And truly, there always has been in different ways. I don't think pleasure is the antidote by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think it is an important and sometimes overlooked ingredient in how we can live more into our own freedom and be more resourced to fight for more freedom for those who have less than we do. It makes me think about our patron saint, Mary Oliver, and her wild geese. You do not have to be good. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. The idea that when we tap into our own lived experience, our embodied reality, and let that soft animal lead the way, we might find some freedom. And some of you may be thinking, well, that can't be the whole story, because the soft animal of my body does not want to do a lot of things that I have to do. And I feel the same way. The soft animal of my body does not want to check my email or drive on I-93 or I-95, both of which are crucial for doing my job, along with many other obligations in my life. And you may be thinking, yes, the soft animal of my body does not want to do the dishes or go to work or whatever it is that you have to do. Another little fun nugget from the Spanish translation of Let It Go that I discovered was, instead of the cold never bothered me anyway, it's el frío es parte también de mí, or the cold is also a part of me, which moves away from the somewhat childish, I don't even care, that didn't even bother me, to more of an owning something that she previously wanted to distance herself from. The cold is a part of her. And she does ultimately take responsibility for it. Because, I won't mind spoiling the movie Frozen, it's really been out for a while, she doesn't live in her ice castle alone, happily ever after. She doesn't just indulge in the pleasure of making beautiful things out of ice and not worrying about anything else. She goes back to save her sister and her people from her ice magic and from the ways that it has harmed them. Her journey goes from, I only care about what other people think and not at all about my lived experience, to, I don't care about anyone else and only about my lived experience, to, I do care about other people, but not just what they think of me. I care about my impact on them. And this is the second spiritual takeaway from Disney movies for us today, that freedom is found partly in embodying our own lived reality, partly in nurturing the soft animal of our body. And it is also found in caring about the impact of our actions more than we care about the story that someone else or even we are creating about them. For me, this is something that I realized several years ago, but I'm always trying to recenter on and practice. And I was talking to a friend about it, and they were saying, wait, how is it different to care about what others think than to care about your impact? And the thing is, sometimes the action you take based on those motivations might be the same action. Like if you reach out to a friend on their birthday because you want to seem like the kind of caring friend who reaches out to people on their birthday, or because you really care about them and you want them to feel loved, you're doing the same action either way. If you speak out for justice because you want to seem like the good person who speaks out, or because you really think your words will make a positive impact, you're still doing the same action. But I'm sure we can all think of ways that sometimes those motivations diverge. We've probably all seen people, or maybe even sometimes been the person who's snapping the photo of what they're doing to post and look involved, but maybe not doing as much of the behind-the-scenes work that isn't as glamorous. And something that I do sometimes when I'm getting too motivated by the story about myself is acting like I understand something that I don't really understand, and trusting that instead of asking questions, I'm just going to figure it out privately, probably with the internet. And sometimes that works, but sometimes it does not work. And it would have been a lot better and had a much better impact on everyone involved, not to mention on my own lived experience, if I would have just asked the stupid question in the group and said, you know what, I actually don't know what you're talking about, or I wish I knew about that, but I don't know, and just found out how to do the thing. You can probably think of what yours are, whatever that is for you, where you're trying to meet others' expectations or trying to seem a certain way, and that can sometimes lead you in a different direction than you would be led if you were really thinking mostly about how am I impacting my own lived reality and that of others. The other really wonderful thing that this shift offers is much more openness to feedback. Because if our primary concern is how we seem or what story we can tell ourselves about ourselves, feedback is threatening. There's that threat to the amygdala. It's activating. But if we really are excited to know how we're impacting others because we want to impact others in a more positive way, then feedback is a gift. Which isn't to say that we can all just magically will ourselves into being the type of people who receive feedback as a gift. I think the soft animals of our bodies are always going to get a little tight and stressed when we get feedback that we didn't really hope to receive. And we can move through that discomfort the way we move through being hungry or cold, and we can recenter on that goal of having a positive impact. So that's a kind of almost meditation practice I try to engage in my life. And maybe it will start just magically happening as I go through perimenopause, and I'll be like, never mind, I don't need a spiritual practice. I now have less estrogen, and everything's fine. But something tells me that perhaps that spiritual practice is relevant to all of us, regardless of our age or hormonal makeup. And so, whoever you are and wherever you are on that journey, maybe you can find a little more freedom in your day-to-day through investing a little more in your own embodied pleasure, nurturing the soft animal of your body, and in returning to wondering about the impact of your actions more than you wonder about what anyone else thinks, more than you wonder about the story you tell yourself. The more we practice, the more we can find ways towards freedom as the storm of our world rages on around us. And with that, I invite you to join in singing our closing hymn, number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song. May you find in this day and each day an opportunity to let go of some of those heavy, weightless thoughts. Let the colored balloon fly away from your head. Indulge in some pleasure and take care of all those around you as we find our way ever on to more and more freedom.